Bill O'Brien was hired away from Ohio State after about only a week on the job, and he has a lot of work to do at Boston College. Very difficult job to take over as the head coach for the Eagles, and the schedule this year really isn't going to be doing them any favors. Their first game of the year is going to be on Monday night in week one at Florida State, an incredibly difficult start to the schedule. The rest of the non conference, aside from Duquesne, isn't that easy either. A road trip to Missouri is going to be a really tough game. Missouri is going to be a pretty close to a top 10 team, and especially on the road, this just isn't an environment that I think this Boston College team is ready for. Both Michigan State and Western Kentucky at home are a bit more winnable. Michigan State's going to be probably around a 4 or 5 win team in the Big Ten. Probably not much more than that. I don't know if they're quite capable of making a bowl game. So that game is somewhat winnable for Boston College. But this is still a pretty decent Michigan State team, so it's not really a guarantee even though the Eagles are at home. Western Kentucky is going to be one of their best shots aside from Duquesne to get a guaranteed win this year. Western Kentucky is going to be pretty average as far as Group of Five goes, which means that they shouldn't be much of an issue for Boston College. Road trip to Virginia, kicking off the second portion of ACC play because they started at Florida State. That'll be one of their easiest ACC games the whole season. As far as the overall ACC schedule looks, it's not too bad as far as playing teams at the top. They're able to avoid both Clemson and Miami, but they do play a lot of teams that are going to be near the top half of the conference, which makes the schedule overall pretty tough. Virginia Tech and Louisville after the first bye week are also super difficult games. Virginia Tech's on the rise. Louisville might take a little step back this year, but not much from last season. They're still going to be a really good team. Probably 8 wins would be a pretty conservative projection for this Louisville team. After the second bye week, gets just a little bit better. Syracuse at home, bringing in Kyle McCord from Ohio State, is still going to be a pretty solid team in the ACC this year. They should be right around 7 or 8 wins as well. SMU makes their debut in the conference, and SMU is actually going to be a pretty decent team this year. They had a pretty easy schedule, so they're not too hard to project going 9, 10 wins maybe. So that'll be a tough game for Boston College on the road. And to close out the season, both North Carolina and Pitt at home. Pitt is definitely the easier of those two matchups. But North Carolina is going to be a real tough one for Boston College to win. Even Pitt should still be a close game. I might even give Pitt the slight edge here, but I wouldn't quite count Boston College out at home in that game. So overall, they've got 7 home games and 5 away games, giving Boston College an overall schedule difficulty of 4 out of 10, with only 3 of their opponents being ranked in our rank and file top 25. Taking a look at our prediction, unfortunately for Boston College, there is a lot of red on here. Can't really see them winning that first game at Florida State. Very tough environment. Same goes for Missouri. Both of those are going to have to be guaranteed losses. Duquesne in between should be a pretty easy win. We also gave Boston College a slight advantage at home to Michigan State, but still have them losing that game to drop to 1-3 before that final non-conference game against Western Kentucky. Opening up ACC play, or their second ACC game, but the stretch of ACC play to end the season is Virginia. This one is one of the last 2 games where we have Boston College as slight favorites, but we do have them losing that game as well. It'll be pretty close. It's definitely one that they could win, but we did end up going with the Cavaliers. After that is a 5-game losing streak with Virginia Tech, Louisville, Syracuse, SMU, North Carolina. All of these teams are just simply better than Boston College. They can maybe pull off an upset in one of those, but we went ahead and picked the favorite in all of those matches, dropping them to 2-9. However, we do like the Eagles to beat Pitt in that last game of the regular season and get their first ACC win to move to 3-9. Now the projected record does sit a little bit higher at 4.75 and 7.25. It's definitely very easy to see them potentially winning the game against Michigan State or Virginia, maybe even Syracuse. Aside from that, I don't really see any other games on their schedule that they could possibly win. So it's looking like 6-6 would be the ceiling for Boston College this season. But we do unfortunately like them a little bit closer to that floor. And honestly, the floor would probably be 2-10, just losing that Pitt game as well. So we do have Boston College pretty near to their floor. FPI likes them a bit higher at 5.6 and 6.4. Just don't really quite see that happening. Michigan State and Virginia both being wins, that would mean that they don't lose a single game that they shouldn't. It's possible, but I just really can't quite see that happening. I think Boston College is going to struggle in their first year under Bill O'Brien. That's not to say they won't get better in the next coming seasons. I'm sure he'll recruit better than they have been. And overall, the program should slowly start to improve, but I don't really see it happening in year one. The 1.5% chance to make to the playoffs, really just not going to happen. Boston College will not be a playoff team this year. They just don't have the schedule that'll let them in or really anything going in their favor, unfortunately. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in our next video.